Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on codeandtech.net. My name is Shibam Dhar and I will be the host for this talk. With me today, I have a Microsoft Student Ambassador, GitHub Campus Expert, winner of Microsoft Visual Studio Code Hackathon and more, Mr. Ekansh Gupta. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, I am good. And what's up with you?
I'm also fine, and it's really wonderful that you have joined with me today in this talk. And I'm looking forward that you will share your valuable experience with all of us.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me. It is a
You're
must, so I must. But apart from that, yeah, I'll definitely try to impart what I have learned to others as well. So why not?
Wonderful. Okay, so since you are part of many tech communities with very much active and appreciative work, I must say, many students are yet to be part of such communities. So I would
Yeah.
like you to guide all the students who are just watching this video and want to start or have just started with their tech communities. What with your experience and with some tips to follow.
Okay, so there are a lot of things in a community, and there are a lot of ways to finding one community. So I remember my first community was this college community, which was called IOSD, International Organization of Software Developers. And because I am from a college where societies and communities and clubs were allowed to form, so that's why it was an early exposure for me. So
Right.
there are a lot of colleges that I know that do not have such allowances or permissions to form this community. But let me first advise those or impart my knowledge to those uh, who have these permissions and these clubs like DSC and all these clubs in their college. So the first step to any community is to just take part in those college clubs activities and all the sessions, because that is your first step in any community. That will give you a much wider exposure to everybody in your college. My college like has 15 branches, and I would not know each and every person in those branches if I had been just a mediocre student in my college where I had done nothing. But when I joined my community, I got to know about a lot of people. I got to talk to a lot of people, and I interacted, I learned, and I collaborated with a lot of people. So that's where you start going into a community. And because of those interactions, those guidance, those seniors which you have, um, that gives you a much broader understanding of what a community is. So community is not always a network, but community is also a way where you can get proper guidance from your seniors. So when I was in first year, my seniors were in third to fourth year, and they actually told me a lot and lot about how to do my work. So I started with corporate relations. I used to do sponsorships and all. So I got connected to a lot of people uh, from the college and outside the college as well. And then there was this mentor of mine. You might know him, Mr. Ronak Sakhuja. So
Right.
he is right now working in Microsoft, but earlier he was the only one from DTU who was there as a Microsoft student partner. Earlier it was named as student partner, now it is student ambassadors, but earlier it was student partners. And then he gave me this introduction of what Microsoft Student Ambassador community is and what is the you know advantages of being a Microsoft Student Ambassador. So from there on, I prepared for an year or two because it had a big form and I was very much scared of filling it up. Earlier, it had interviews as well. So I prepared for it for an year or two. I filled out the forms and everything. And Microsoft Student Ambassadors not only give me access to a larger community, but also a wider community. So when I say large is quantity and wider is the geographical location. So I now know a lot of people who are not from India or not from my Delhi circle, but from Bangalore, Mumbai, London, UK, Nigeria, US, and all. So that is how I got to know Microsoft Student Ambassadors. So when you talk and interact with different people, they will give you um, a different perspective they will have a different perspective, so they will give you a different perspective. And because one person is there in some other community, he will actually try to tell you what are the benefits of that community as well. So when you interact with him, you get to know the ups and downs of communities. So basically I
Right.
was from a non-tech background of the corporate relations converting into a tech background in Microsoft student ambassadors. While I was doing that, I was also learning machine learning and Python. So that's how I just transitioned from a non-tech background to a tech background. In the meanwhile, I talked to this amazing person. You might not know him, you might know him, I don't know. He is Mr. Rishabh Bansal, and he was the first GitHub Campus expert at that point of time in
Right.
India. So he talked me into GitHub Campus Experts, and I looked into GitHub Campus Experts for like 1.5 years, and I never filled the form. So I was pretty late in these things. I I was supposed to fill them earlier, but no, I was actually late, and I filled it in my second year. Like it was ending. My second year was ending, and then I filled my form. Or my third year was ending. I don't know. Most probably the fifth semester. So then the whole process took around 6 months. I got into the GitHub Campus Experts community, and the perspective of GitHub Campus Experts is totally different. It is not like any other community. It's not like, empowering each and every individual. It's actually empowering your local community through GitHub. So because GitHub can't reach that grassroots level of communities in areas like India or developing countries. That is why they instate a GitHub representative in those communities so that they can empower those communities and build them up. So that is how I got to know about GitHub Campus Experts. I joined GitHub Campus Experts, and in the way there were various communities that I joined and left because different in opinions. I wanted something, they wanted different. But yeah, so that is a brief on how to actually approach a community. So you just have to say hi to a person, to just approach a
Mhm.
person and to start your interaction with him. A hi is something that will never hurt a person. So a hi is something that you should actually go and do. And if you find someone, and if you don't know someone, just say hi, and that interaction will magically happen. And
Right.
if there is no interaction, you might not get that exposure on your own. But when you go and do that interaction, you know people, you meet people, you get a different perspective, you know about their community, their region, and their growth and support. So I am actually grateful to people who have helped me throughout my way.
Right. So it was always your first effort to create a small network from a small start, and gradually you came across different people and different opportunities, and all the simple start was just a small start. Right.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So I've seen that you took part in Microsoft Visual Studio Code Hackathon, and also your team won it. So please share with us your experience and some tips for the students who are willing to take part in hackathons. That how to process from beginning to end from any hackathon in order to get some fruitful outcome, whether it will be a win or maybe a self improvement.
Okay, so a funny story. I my first hackathon was when I was organizing a hackathon and not participating in it. So
Mm-hmm.
I organized my first hackathon rather than participating in a hackathon. So that was kind of unusual. So that's when I knew what a hackathon was. I built a hackathon from ground up. The whole team, the whole community built the hackathon. We conducted that hackathon, and I started to know that a hackathon requires one and one thing only, whether you are participating or you are actually organizing, and that is the effort of the whole team that you have.
Right.
So if you are participating in a hackathon, so what do? You have to get those three people with you. If the team size is four, those three people with you who basically understand you. So if there is good communication, whatever may be the outcome, you will have a great experience in the hackathon. But if there is no communication in the hackathon, you will probably not like the hackathon. So I tried various hackathons, I tried participating in various events. I it was very interesting for me to actually organize a hackathon at the early stages, but then I understood that why not just participate in one. So because of this great community and because of this awesome friends that I have, Aditya and Simran and Nandini, we all created a team. We were good at communication at that point of time because we were not sleeping. It was a 24 hours hackathon. We all understood each other. We are good friends. We know our tech stacks. We know what to do when we are in the hackathon, and we just went ahead without a idea as well. So the hackathon had to start at like 8 p.m. and by 10:30 p.m. we had no idea of what to do. So suddenly something clicked, and we just went ahead with the idea. At the submission stage as well, the idea wasn't fully functioning, but we did something else to do to create that idea working. We put in our whole efforts. The idea submission stage was 5:30 p.m. the next day. We submitted our whole project at 5:45, taking 15 minutes of extra time even. And it's actually good that we won. It was actually a great experience. We got mentorship as well. But the thing is that the thing that all the things, not only hackathons, require is great communication within your team. And
Mhm.
if you have great communication, if you even if you don't know things, you might be able to learn things, but you can't just learn communicating with your different people during the hackathon. During those 24 hours, you don't have that time to start learning how to communicate and then start to communicate and then build a product. No, you
Right.
have to start communicating at first, then you start with an idea, then with okay, so hackathons have one thing. So if you are building an app or a website, you have to make a front end, you have to make a back end, a database, a person who does the documentation and everything. And I don't know why, how it happened in the Microsoft VS Code hackathons. Our roles were pretty much organized. Like someone was doing front end, the other is doing back end, the one is doing database, someone is doing documentation, and no one was actually colliding with each other
Okay.
because of it. So a well-balanced team is not always required, but is good to have. But the thing which is a must is communication, and that is it.
Right. So, with the help of communication, you were able to express yourself within the team, and the additional was the well organizing of your stuff, so that you all were not so much, lagging behind or getting or stepping on each other's work. So
Okay,
this.
so the thing was not stepping on each other is a crude way to say that, but a good way to say is like uh, if someone was not feeling well or frustrated
Hmm.
and he wanted to express that on someone else, no one
Hmm.
was taking it in the wrong way.
Right. That is so wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, in 24 hours you have so much pressure and you have so much to do and so little time that it happens, and the team has to deal with it and come out of it. So that's what we did most probably, and we came out of it as the winners. So we were glad to
Yeah.
do that actually.
Right. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, so everything, like you said about preparation, so everything needs preparation and of course proper strategy. So since you were also a Google Code in mentor at Circuit Verse, so community, I would like to ask you that what was your preparation to reach here, and what should others to follow?
Okay, so the thing with me is like I am from an electrical engineering background. When I entered into technology, it was probably at the end of my second year. It was pretty late when I entered into technology, and I entered with my knowledge of digital circuits, right?
Hmm.
Because I had this whole course on digital circuits because of my electrical engineering background, that it gave me a connect to circuitverse directly because they are doing something like digital circuit simulation. I know how digital circuits work. I know how uh, ARM processors work. I know how RISC-V processors work. So I know how these things works, and they are actually building these things on a simulator on web. That is how I got connected to circuitverse. That is how it circuitverse was something that got my interest in that, and it was very instant that I wanted to do something in circuitverse because my ideologies matched at that point of time. So anyone who is doing something like open source stuff, uh, you don't have to rush into it. You can
Right.
just research into it. Research, come up with an organization where your ideologies match. Open source is not something like IT that you have to do, but it is good to do. Like, um, I did not do any preparations when I went ahead with Circuitverse. I went to Circuitverse, I talked to a few people, I talked to the org admin, I talked to org mentors. They told me what to do. I introduced myself, they gave me some tasks.
Mm-hmm.
In a span of like 2 to 3 months, I did some tasks like documentation. I was starting with documentation, then I went ahead with code snippets, then I went ahead with whole code management, creating issues, solving issues. And that's when they knew that I had knowledge, and they wanted to actually use that knowledge to mentor those students who were participating in Google Coding at that point of time. So Google Coding is right now not there, but I am looking for Google Summer of Code this year. So I am not going to be a participant, obviously,
Okay.
but I might mentor. So that's how you get connected to any org. You first have to, bridge your ideology with the org's ideology, and then you go ahead with them. If you like the org, you start to contribute in the org.
Right. Right. So this was very much of insightful for the people who are like who would like to know more about this, and of course they should follow in this way. Since you also were saying about this is something different that you were from electrical side, right?
Yeah.
So this is my question: that how did you manage the work between tech, electrical, plus the community work? So how did you manage it?
Okay. So the thing is, if you know what you want to do, you do. So I had my priorities. I panned out my priorities. I started with tech very late. I started with communities very early. So that's usually two different things that people say. But I am totally opposite. I started with communities at a very, very early stage. In my first year, when I just entered college, I started with my community work. Though I didn't go into tech at that point of time, I started with that community work, and I growed my network was growing at that point of time.
Right.
Uh, my electrical branch. So in my college, electrical is supposed to be the most difficult branch in the whole university. I would say the department is very strict. It is what it is. I am not complaining about my branch. I like my branch. Okay, whatever.
Right.
But uh, the thing is that if you know what you have to do, you do.
Right.
So I will give you an instance. uh, I had to bring in a couple of sponsors, and I had my exam the next day. It was a 30-mark exam. It was an internal exam. So like unit tests. So it was one of those exams. So I got to know at night that I had grabbed a sponsor, and they were giving me about 1 lakh rupees for the event. Because I was that excited, the next day in my exam, I got 9 out of 30. So it's not like I was like I had something in my mind. I had to just do everything very perfectly. No, I learned from something. I learned from things that I didn't know. I learned how to manage things. I learned what priorities are, and I used to list down priorities. I used to list how much effort I had to give in those priorities. I used to just go in the first year or the second year in the college, just uh, go in the class, be there for the attendance, come back and do my community work. Yeah, my CGPA got affected but I tried to enhance that in my third year. uh, so electrical engineering was strict about attendance, but they were never strict about CGPA.
All right.
So my attendance was also never maintained, to be very honest. My attendance criteria is supposed to be 75%. I never go above 60 odd percent.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what I had to do with the electrical department. I had to talk to my professors for that. I did something when I talked to my professors. I uh, did various things with my professors to convince them that I can't just be in their class. I can be for 60% of the time, but I can't be there for a lot of time. So I did various projects, like I went with faculty and talked to them. I uh, collaborated on that project so that they could be convinced and all. So at the end, they were very pleased at that point of time. So they let me just skip classes, some of the classes. So I skipped some of the classes. I did my uh, community work. At that point of time, when I entered into tech, I found out that you have a lot of time when you go back from college.
All right.
It's either hostel or your own house. I am a day scholar, so my own house. So what do you do for those 6 to 7 hours before you sleep and you come back from college? And that's when I got to know that I can just start and pursue with tech, and I can start with that. So daily around 4 hours in my third year, I tried to do coding. So it was pretty late when I started, but I am now where I am. So it's all in the past, but I would still recommend that you start coding, or someone who is watching starts coding when he is in his first semester or the second. I wanted to discover myself, and I did that for a pretty long duration of time, I would say.
All right. Okay. So basically, it was the will to learn actually, because
Exactly.
whatever you are doing, or whatever you talk, the things you say, that you manage the stuff with with your teachers, the things at your home, it was always your will to do more. And basically this made you to like to manage your electrical plus tech plus community work. So this is the main thing which is like which has got you so many things till now, right?
Yeah, so many things I would not say, but yeah,
But still.
I am where I
but
am right now, and I
but
am
still.
very happy with that.
Amazing, amazing. So my next thing is that like it will be absolutely appropriate to say that you and open source are like very much connected, whether it is a contribution or webinars or workshops, and also you are GitHub Campus Expert. So my question is, what is there in open source that you find it so interesting?
Wait a minute.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about open source, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about open source is that it gives you the freedom to do whenever and whatever coding you want. If you like to do coding for a particular organization, or if you like to do some project, you do that.
Mm-hmm.
No one is, on top of your head and actually forcing you to do a particular project that you might not like.
Mm-hmm.
You might not be getting paid, but you are actually very happy when you are building that product. There are various open source programs that might pay you for the same, but if you are just contributing into some organization or the other, or if you are building your own project, it is actually very satisfactory for you to just build a project from scratch, or solve an solve an issue that is actually troubling you for the past, and just get ahead with that. So that's why I like open source. I talk to a lot of people who are my friends, who are admins,
Mm-hmm.
who are met, and they just suggest me one thing, and that is, if you want to work, you should. If you don't, you can exit at any point of time. And that's not a warning, that's just a suggestion, because open source is not a forceful thing that is being put on you.
Right.
It is done because you like it. I liked contributing to circuitverse and Mozilla, therefore I did.
Right. So, but if I ask you that you liked it, but what are the importance of it? Like, because if someone asks that, let's say a viewer is thinking that, okay, I am not so like able to like this open source, but if I ask you to give some importance of open source to that person so that he will do something to the open source, then what it would be like? What is the important
Okay,
thing about
so
it?
the importance of open source is that you get to know what's actually currently working in the industry.
All right.
Because these products like the circuitverse product or the Mozilla products are actually live and deployed, and a lot of users are there.
Right.
So you actually learn how to code on those products. You actually learn what is actually working in those industries. You actually learn what is going on, and apart from that, you actually build a sort of network in that community as well. So if I contribute to Mozilla or Circuitverse, I build a community in Circuitverse who are actually aiming to do something in digital electronics or JavaScript. It's a combination of that.
Okay.
So I not only do I just have to work there, I can be a mentor as well, and I get to teach those kids who are new to open source. I get to learn from them as well, and apart from that, it's the thing of satisfaction as well.
Amazing, amazing. So, with the end of all the questions, like last thing is like I would like to ask you if anything you have for like any message for all the viewers you may share.
Yeah. So the first thing is take as much time as you want to discover yourself, but at the same point of time, if you are planning to code, start at a fairly earlier stage than others, because it will give you an edge over others. Discover more and more communities and get connected to a lot of different people, because they will help you out in various ways down the line, and you won't know where and when. So someone very much rightly said that your net worth,
Net worth,
and
right?
it's actually very apt, because when you are connected with a lot of people. Okay, so I give you an example. So if I wanted to get a referral from a certain company,
Right.
if a senior is there at that company who was from my community, I can easily get a referral, right?
True.
Else I would have to go to LinkedIn and search for people in that company and then ask for referral, and some might reply, some might deny, some might not reply even.
True.
So this is one case that might help you. But there are a lot of things, like I got my hackathon partners from my community.
All right. So yeah, two most important things you have said. First of all, if you are exploring yet, start coding at a fairly early stage and build your networks as strong as possible, because at the end
Exactly.
these two things will help you. That was really wonderful, wonderful insights you have shared, and I'm sure this will help a lot of viewers who are watching this to enable to work like in a very good way in their community. And thank you so much for joining me in this video in this talk.
Thank you so much, Shivam, for actually inviting me.
You're welcome. So with this, we come to the end of the video, and to all the viewers, I will be back with again another video with worldwide communities and worldwide tech people. Thank you.